Hi there, Mike from Greenway Electric. I know there's a lot of talk about what causes battery degradation over time. Is it time? Is it age of the battery? Or is it the distance you've traveled? So let's take a look at this 2016 Nissan Leaf SV and see what the battery degradation is on that vehicle. And let's compare it to this identical 2016 Nissan Leaf SV and see what the battery degradation is on that car. Now, comparing these two, the most interesting thing is about this vehicle, it only has 6,000 miles on it. That's 6,000 miles, not 60,000, 6,000 on a 2016 vehicle. Now this one's been driven a more regular distance. This one's got 75,000 miles. Now we can take a look at the battery condition for those two vehicles. It should be interesting to take a look at. And I know statistically a sample size of 2 is not really very good. So I happen to have a third one. This one is a 2017 Nissan Leaf, and it has around 80,000 miles on it. So we'll take a look at this one first, the 2016 with 6,000 miles, compare it to the one with 75,000 miles, and compare it to the one that's a year newer with 80,000 miles. And let's take a look and see what the battery situation is for those cars and compare them. So what we'll be using is this program called Leaf Spy, and it connects directly to the vehicle's computer and will give us some additional information. So let's take a look. Okay, so we're sitting in the vehicle now that has 6,097 miles on it. And let's take a look at what Leaf Spy says. So Leaf Spy is an app here that I've got. Let's see, and the most important numbers here on top. So batteries status, it has 66.33 amp hours for remaining capacity. SOH is state of health. That means 83.45% of new. And interestingly here, it has 1 QC, which means it's only been quick charged once or level 3 charged one time in its whole life. And then it has 318 L1 and L2, so that's AC charges. So when you plug it into the wall outlet, either 240 or 120, 318 times over its lifetime. And the batteries are pretty balanced, it's at 9 millivolts, and it's currently only at 54% state of charge. So that's pretty good for half a charge vehicle. And so let's now go to the other vehicle, take a look and see how these numbers compare. Okay, now we're in the second vehicle. This was the exact same vehicle, 2016 Nissan Leaf SV, except this one has 75, almost 76,000 miles on it. And let's take a look at what Leaf Spy has to say about this one. So the amp hours is 53.8. The first one was around 66. This one, SOH, state of health, is 67.69. The other one was around 83%. So we can see this one is a lower state of health. And then, of course, it's been charged a lot more times. It only has 2 quick charges, or level 3 charges, but it's been charged 5,008 times. And when I say charged, this counts just the quantity of times that has been plugged in. That doesn't mean a full charge from empty to full. That just means how many times it's been plugged in. So 5,708. And if you do that once a day over the course of all those years, that makes about sense. And then currently it's 77% charge level, and it has a 16 millivolt difference in the battery, so slightly higher than the other one. So just a little bit more wear on this one. Also on the dashboard here, you might have noticed the first one. I didn't point it out on the first one. On the far right over here, you can see where it says 1, there's these little bars that go along here. Those are the long-term state of health bars for the car. This one has 9 out of 12 bars remaining. The first car had 12 out of 12 bars remaining. So it is showing that with the higher mileage, it has degraded the battery a bit more, and which makes sense. The other one only has 6,000 miles on it. So, okay, let's go take a look at car number 3. Okay, and now we're on to vehicle number 3. This is the highest mileage one and also the newest, the 2017 instead of 2016. This one's got almost 84,000 miles on it, and just taking a look at those battery bars on the right-hand side there, this one has 10 out of 12, so it does have one more bar than the last car, even though it has higher mileage. And now let's take a look at the leaf spy information here. So the battery amp hours is 58. The other one just before this was 55. First one I think was around 66. State of health on this one is 73. So it is higher than the other one that had the state of health of 67. Fairly bit higher. Interesting. But most interesting here is our quick charges. So we've had 692 quick charges. The other two vehicles only had 1 or 2 quick charges. This one's been quick charged many times, and that's supposed to degrade the battery faster, and it's only been recharged on the wall outlet or 240 1,818 times. So very interesting. This vehicle, even though it's been quick charged a lot, does have a higher battery capacity remaining. And the cell balance is at 13 millivolts, so the cells are fairly close together. This one happens to be currently at 74% state of charge. So it's very interesting to see those numbers. The number of quick charges is very high on this one, but yet the battery capacity is higher than the one that's only had 1 quick charge in its life, or 2 quick charges. Okay, so let's talk about the data that we've discovered on these 3 vehicles here. Interesting how they differ between the 3 of them. The one, of course, with the lowest mileage does have the highest remaining battery capacity, which is not surprising because it only has 6,000 miles on it, with 66.33 amp hours or 83% state of health. And it also has the lowest number of charge sessions on it as well. But on this chart here, what I've done is I've taken the quantity of charging, sessions, whether it's quick charge or AC charging, added it together. And then what I did is take a look at the number of miles the car traveled between each charge. And there is a bit of a difference here. So if you take a look at the first one, it has gone 19 miles per charge. The second one has gone 13, and the third one was 33. So there's a marked difference there in the usage style. The third one has gone to deeper discharges, and I guess that kind of makes sense of what we found, that there's a lot more quick charges that were done on that vehicle as well. The other ones were just 1 or 2 quick charges, but the other one was close to 700 quick charges. So obviously that one was maybe on the highway a bit more. The other thing we can look at, and I don't know if that's meaningful or not, it just was an interesting number I was able to calculate here. I'm still having trouble understanding why the second car with lower mileage has worse battery capacity on it. Now, maybe I'll talk about the histories of these cars. The first car with the low mileage, that vehicle has come from Quebec, Montreal in Canada, so it's experienced some cold winters, and the summers can be pretty warm as well, although not as warm as some areas in the southern United States. The second car, that one has come from Toronto in Canada, and again similar. It's it has some cold winters and can get up to some pretty hot temperatures in the summer. And then the third one here, that one has a bit of a more interesting history. It's come from the West Coast. It came from Santa Rosa, California originally, which is north of San Francisco, and it was there from 2017 to 2019. And then it moved to Vancouver, Canada in 2019, and it was there ever since. So I would say the climate probably in Santa Rosa is maybe on average a bit warmer than the climates that we've experienced with the other first two, which normally implies that a warmer climate means that battery degradation is going to be worse, but it's not compared to this other one here. So that's just interesting to look at that statistic. So what can we conclude from the data that we've gathered from these three virtually identical cars with their different lives that they've lived? Well, obviously mileage does have an impact. The lowest mileage car does have the best battery capacity currently still remaining. But when it comes to quick charges or level 3 or high-speed DC charges, that doesn't seem to have had really a negative effect on the third car as compared to the other two, because it still has a higher capacity remaining, even though it's traveled more miles than any of them. Well, it's traveled certainly more than the first one. Of course, they've all traveled more, but compared to the second and third car, the second car with slightly less mileage has a worse battery capacity. But if I go back again to that chart, the second car was being charged more often, so it seems like it took shorter trips in between each time when it was being charged. So is that an argument then to say that if you want your battery to last longer, that you should not charge it daily if you don't need to? If you're only using a small portion of the capacity of your battery, should you wait for a few days and then charge it up? Does that imply that this car was at a higher state of charge most of its life? Although I would expect that the car with the lowest mileage maybe was in that situation as well. It probably sat idle a lot. Did it sit idle plugged in a lot? That I don't know. I have no way to know that, because I did not meet the person who used to own this car. But if it sat idle with a 50 to 80% state of charge, maybe that's why it's doing so well, perhaps. But anyways, those are some ideas and thoughts I have about these cars. What are some of your conclusions you can draw from this data? What do you think? Is there anything else we should be looking at when comparing these vehicles? Is there anything else we should consider when we take care of our batteries in our electric vehicles? I know that folks that are watching videos like this are very interested in making sure their battery longevity is maintained and that lasts as long as possible. And this data is curious, I would say. It doesn't seem to fully support the typical things that we adhere to, such as avoiding quick charging. Now, having said that, the first car does have the lowest mileage, but it certainly has experienced some battery degradation over its lifespan, and that I'm sure is attributable simply to age, because the batteries do have some aging capacity as well, or components to their lifespan as well. So that's going to have an impact additionally. So these are some of my thoughts, opinions, and data that I was able to collect from these cars. I'd be curious to get your thoughts in the comment section. I don't know of any other data I should be collecting. If there's any other data that you think I should, please let me know. I have the cars currently, although I won't keep them forever, because what I do is buy and sell vehicles, so that's my intent. But anyway, just wanted to put this out here and share some information with you, and then get your thoughts on it. If you found this video interesting or informative, please feel free to leave me a thumbs up and consider subscribing for future videos. And I know I didn't even talk about that white leaf over there. That's just the white sheep of the family. We'll talk about that one in a different video perhaps. So thanks a lot for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.